Hello everyone and welcome back to part 6 of the Pinkie Pie tutorial. So in the last video we put the pony together, so you should have something that looks similar to this. In this video we're going to finish attaching the ears, the eyes, the mane and tail, as well as the cutie mark. So as you can see, I've already done one eye and attached one ear. So what I'm going to do is make the other eye with you in this, as well as attach the other ear, and then you guys have to pause it, go back, and do the other side. And then you'll end up with something that looks like this when it's done. It's pretty cute, and we'll also be making the mouth as well. Just trying to think if there's anything else. I think that's everything for this project. So we will get started with making the parts of the eye. So to start the eye, we are going to do the black part. So you'll need your black bands right now. And then we're going to do a magic ring on it. So let me focus my camera again. Doesn't always want to focus for some reason. Okay, and we're going to do a magic ring again. So you need 3 loops around your hook, and then this time we're only going to do 5 stitches around it. So there's 1, go back in through the 3 loops, there's 2, go back in, that's, what did I do, there we go, 3, 4, and this one will be number 5, and I'm gonna put my stitch marker in there to keep track. So you should have 5 loops now. Now in the next one we're going to do an increase in each of the stitches all the way around. So that's 1, go back in, 2, and then on the next stitch, same thing, 1, and go back in, and that is 2. Next stitch, 1, go back in, oops, 2, next stitch, that's 1, and go back in, and that's number 2, and last one. So 1, go back in, and 2. Now move your stitch marker again. Now the next round we're going to do a single stitch followed by an increase all the way around. So we got a single stitch, and then next stitch is an increase. So 1, go back in, that's 2, single stitch again, it's 1, and then an increase, 1, 2, next one, that's 1, this one's an increase, 1, go back in, that's 2, next one is a single stitch, and then this one's an increase, and then the next one is a single stitch followed by an increase.
We forgot to take the donning and Paisley got into
Okay, and I'll just remove my C-clip out of the way now, and what I'm going to do is go back in through the first stitch and tie off a slip stitch. So go through all the bands and then just make a slip stitch. So that is the black part of the eye, like so. So now we're gonna have to place this on so it's fairly even on here. So okay, so once you got that placed, we're going to do the same as before and tack it on. Find your points, and again, try not to catch the stuffing. And I'm just going to put one more on here in a second. Usually the face takes me, well, these eyes take me a while to do. So I'm kind of a perfectionist and like to make sure it's all placed right. Okay. Okay, once you have the eye in the spot where you want it, then you can finish putting the slip knots around the outside of the eye here. Try and get the bands fairly close underneath each other there, so your eye doesn't become stretched out. And then along the bottom here. This looks really interesting right now. It usually does. Okay, and I'm gonna. Okay, so I think that will be. Okay, so at this point we're going to, once you feel you have enough around, I'm going to put my hook in this first one, which was the tying off band for the black section. And I'm just going to stitch this around the eye here quickly. And then we're back at the start here. So what I'm going to do, where there was kind of this gap, is I'm going to go in through the body and the eye and just do a slip knot, slip stitch on it. And then I'm going to take a C-clip, put it on that stitch, and once again tuck it and underneath here like that. Okay, so that's the black part. Next we're going to add this blue colored on. So for that, my blue, and the blue I'm using is the two-toned blue from Rainbow Loom. It's in the Sweets collection, It's just got a little bit of shimmer to it, so I think it looks nice. So I'm going to wrap a band around my hook twice. And then I'm just going to look at my book and make sure I get my numbers right. So we're going to do a chain of 16. So just like we did with the tail. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. And with this one, I'm going to slip knot it like so. So now once you have your chain of 16, you need to line it up on the eye. So I'm just going to line this up so that it matches the other one. You just make sure it's not twisted. And you just line it along the edge of the black, like so. I'm just going to make sure it's level. That looks good. Now, using your blues, you're going to, what I do is I always start at this end with the slip knot. So just make sure that stays put. I go in through the slip knot that we have, go in through the first loop next to it, just the top loop, and then I will grab the top band of the black, and I'm just going to pull it through those and create a slip stitch. Keep it on my hook, go through the next band and on the black, pull it through all of them but the last one, like that. Pull it through, similar to all the rest of the stitching we did. Don't worry if it's not completely perfect at this point, because when we add the other parts we will be able to make it perfect. Kind of smooth it out. So go through there, and you just keep working around. The first one is usually really easy because you're just simply attaching it. Right now I just have to make sure that I keep it lined up with the other side, otherwise it'll be funny. You'll have an eye that's kind of off center. Whoops, I did that wrong. I'm used to doing so many slip stitches. I want to just stop there. Whoops. Try and grab my end before it disappears. There we go. Now pull it through. And with this step I go through every single stitch all the way around, just so it doesn't look, it keeps it and this part kind of lays over the black a little bit, and that's quite alright. And I like the eyes to have just a little bit more of the color part of it and not so much black and white. With this shape and pattern, it seems to look nicer. And sorry if I go off camera a little bit. It's sometimes awkward and I need to use my body to hold it in place so that I can get it to look right. Just keep moving around.
Mommy, I'm going back outside.
And almost finished at this point. Just gotta keep this lined up, sorry. It's twisted a little bit. Right there. And it's a little bit, you can go back and do like the black section with the black section and then the colored section with the colored section. It might be easier to get them lined up the same because sometimes it's hard to tell where some of these bottom layers go when you have so much other stuff happening on it. Okay, so, but that looks about right. I'm going to go in through there. Now on this one we're going to do a slip stitch. So pull it through all the bands and then tie it off. And again we're going to put a C-clip on it. Oops. C-clip on it and tuck that. Find a good spot to tuck that in. Try and go underneath where the color is so you don't have like a random band sticking out. And you can just adjust that a little bit. I'll fix this part here when we put the white on. Okay. That's about right. Sorry, I just gotta make sure I got it lined up. Good. Okay, and with that, we're going to move on to the white part of the eye now.
Yes.
Paisley.
Yes.
Okay, so get your white bands out. And this is going to be a little bit different. We're not making a chain. We're just going to stitch it right on along the white just to kind of outline around there. Okay. I went this way around, so I'll start up here. So for this, because this is kind of floppy here, so what I do with my white bands here is I go in where did I start over here? Yeah, right there. So I go in through these black bands and the body. Pull it through, sorry I'm getting too close. Pull it through here and make a slip stitch. So I went through part of the eye and the body. Put that C-clip back down in there. Now I'm going to go through this part of the eye here I want to go through here. Go through there, it might get hidden. We'll go through that part of the body. Just try and keep, you want to go close to where the blue is, but not quite underneath it, as you won't see the white then. So, and again, we're just going to go through them all. So, go through there, and you just pull it through everything but the last band. Come back, reclaim, and pull it through just like you've done everything else. And work your way all the way around. Oops. I'm just going to make sure that's looking even. Almost kind of stretched far. Yep, we've got our covered. Okay. So far, so good. Sometimes it's hard to find a band that's like right underneath where you need it to be. They get kind of awkward. Trying to figure out where to go. Now I use the glow white with Rainbow Loom. I find it was just a little bit stretchier than the regular ones. And it's just my personal preference. I always just use the glow. And it's kind of creepy too sometimes when you get the eyes staring at you at night. The kids really like that. So whenever I use white, it's always the glow white. Oops. That one's being funny. And for this, you can go through just one band or two bands on the colored part, the blue. It's really doesn't matter too much, just whatever you start doing just makes you carry it through so it doesn't look odd. But there's still another round of black that's going to be added on this, so again, you can always fix things up with the next round. Guy's moving around quite a bit on me. And then we'll go here towards this end here. You kind of bring it in a little bit so it does kind of go underneath the color. Just a little bit. So I'm going to do my last stitch attached to this guy. Because I need to try and get that to lay, but I'm going to do a slip stitch. Like so. So I kind of held down my end there. Yeah, that's what I did on the other side too. Okay, find another C-clip. Yes, we use a lot of C-clips on this eye. That's good. If you bought all the bands, you will have a lot of C-clips hanging around, so at least this uses them up. I'm just going to try and tuck it in there so that you don't have a random band sticking out. Alright, just gotta stretch it around a little bit. There. That's looking pretty good. They kind of got really big eyes, but I think it makes it the part of the design cute because they got kind of big eyes on the actual teddies. Okay, put those away for now. Okay, so at this point I'm going to do, actually we'll still use our white. So I'm going to attach this little spot as well as this larger one now before we do the final black. So I put right in there. So for this, what I did is I took a single band, wrapped it around my hook to create 3 loops, and then I just gotta make sure I do this even. I'm just gonna go in through about here on the black. Now from there I took a white band. Whoops. Shooting rubber bands now. Okay. Pull that through the black, pull the white onto it, and then create a slip stitch. Okay, and then from there, just got to turn this again. So I'm gonna go put my hook back in that slip knot, go back in through the 3 loops that are here, try and get into all of them, and then I'm gonna catch the black bands here. Those will be good. And then I'm gonna pull it through all the stitches, all the bands on my there, and tie it off. And again, a C-clip. That in there. And try and keep this one tucked underneath here. So it's kind of hidden. Like that. Just make sure that looks somewhat same. I can never get them to look quite the same the second time around that I do them. So now for the larger part of the eye, the white part, wrap your band around a hook 3 times. So you get those 3 loops, and then we're just going to do 6 stitches around. So that was 1, I believe it's 6. Yeah, I think so. Oops. 2, 3, 4, 5, and this is number 6. Oh, right. On this one, we're going to do a no. Oh, Losing my mind here. Okay, now we're going to do the slip stitch. Go back through stitch 1 here and tie it off like so. And then we're going to bring it over here. Just going to make sure I place it the same. Should be right about there. So this one, go through the bands that are underneath again. And tack this on. Here I go through some of the colored part of the end as well as the black and then the white. So just be careful when you're, make sure you get your band through all of those. I'm gonna put one more through here. I'm gonna pull that much. Okay. Stitch that. Okay. I think that looks pretty good. I'll put one more here. Not that far in, I don't want the pink. I'm just connecting it to the black. Okay, and again, starting at my tied off band here, I'm just going to stitch this around here. And then here, I'm going to go through here. I want these bands pulled. Through here, and I'm going to grab some black underneath here, and I'm going to create a slip stitch again. Like so. And make some more C-clips here. Okay, take another C-clip there. And I'm just gonna tuck it down in underneath here. Try to anyways. Doesn't want to cooperate. That looks funny there. Sorry if I go offline or off the camera side here. I'm just trying to find a spot to try and get this to go through here. There's a lot of layers and stuff here. Just gonna try and tuck it in there. Okay. So there, so far you should have something that looks like this. Sorry, I'm still just trying to get it to match up to the other eye. Make sure it's all good. It looks pretty good. Alright, now you're done with the white bands. We can put all those back away. Alright, so now we're going to do on the eye, we have the color, the white, the spots, everything. So now we're going to do this black part and her lashes. So to do that, we're going to use our black bands. There. So I always start right in here where the black meets up with the white. You just go in there, and then I'm going to grab part of the body and then pull a black band through to create a slip knot. And now this is going to be just like we stitched the white. We're just going to keep it close to the white and just follow this around. And I go into every stitch. I don't skip over any for this part. And just follow the white. Fix that a little bit here. A couple more. This black part doesn't go all the way around the eye, it just goes to a certain point, so I just gotta make sure I get it to match up with my other eye. So as you guys are doing this, you'll have to get it so it kind of matches. I think one more. Looks about good. So once you've got it to the point where they match up, or as far as you want it, I'm just going to undo this quickly. So your last stitch is supposed to be a slip stitch. Oh, it's going down like that, so not just like all the rest. And then I'm going to attach a C-clip and tuck that in. That tucked in there. Like that. Okay. Now here, at the very end, I go through black and part of the body, tie that slip stitch, and then you want it to kind of come up on a curve, and I go up 3 stitches. So this last one I do a slip stitch. I'm going to use a C-clip again. Tuck that into the body here. Then I go up. I don't go This is the one we went into, so I'll go through the next one. And grab the band over here. Do a slip stitch. Go back in. And one more time. This one is a slip stitch again. It's not curving that much, that's okay. And again, C-clip it. And tuck it into the body there. Go into the next one. Do a slip stitch. And here, I'm going to pull it all the way through. And tuck that in. Getting very close to being done, but still the details are what make the project finished. Okay. That should... So now, whoops, the camera. So now you get the eye lashes. So now I just gotta put these bottom lashes on. So 1, 2, 3 up. So I counted 3 white stitches up. Do a slip stitch. Sorry, I just gotta turn this around. Go into the next part here. And this one's a slip stitch as well. This one, the bottom lashes are a little bit smaller. And again, a C-clip. And tuck that end. Some fuzz hanging around there. Next one and the next one. Okay, go into the next stitch, into the body, do a slip stitch, keep it on your hook, go in and do another slip stitch, attach a C-clip, and again tuck it into the body. Like so. Alright, sorry about that, the sun disappeared on me. Okay, go in through the next stitch. Do a slip stitch. And one more time. Like so. Did I do that one wrong? Didn't slip stitch it. Through there. And then through there. There we go. Pull that through. So then once you're done, you will have your 2 eyes. Like that. Make sure they're fairly even. Okay, so now at this point I'm going to attach the ears. I'm going to take some of my body color, keep them all together here. Alright, so here's the first ear that I attached. And as you can see, I kind of line up the one edge with the top of this eyelash here. So that will be my marker. And I put it on so that the slip stitch on the ear is back here. So make sure when you put the ear on that you have them pointing the same way, so that they there. I'm just going to start tacking it on, and then I'll check and see if I got it level. Now when you tack it on, you want to make sure you go through both sides, which I just didn't do. So go into the body, catch both sides, there we go. And just slip stitch it. Once you get to position where you want it, find that point on the other side of the body or of the ear where you want it positioned, and tack that side on. And then if you need to change it, you're only taking off 2 tacks, not the whole bottom. This mirror doesn't want to stand up as tall. Once you get it in place, you want to make sure you keep this part rounded in at the bottom here so that it kind of keeps its ear shape. And find a place in the body, go through it, and then go through both sides of the ear and do a slip stitch. Here. Okay. So now what I do once I got all the slip stitches here, I go onto the back side of the ear. I'm going to pull through, I'm going to start with this, I'm going to pull through all these bands I have so that they're on this side. And then just keep stitching them together. Like so. Now here, I'm going to go out, turn my hook around. So I pulled out, I flipped my hook around, and I'm just going to see where to go here. To do my slip stitch, but I go into the body here but fairly close to the ear, and I'm going to grab part of the middle ear, so just a couple rows up, and do my slip knot through up there, and that way it doesn't flop. Kind of makes it hold in place. Put another C-clip on that and tuck it into the body. So there. Now you should have, this is still pretty. Should sit like that. So now at this point, you guys can pause the video and go back. I don't know if you were pausing it and doing both sides of the eyes at the same time, but if you haven't, now would be the time to pause it, go back, do the other side, and then attach the ear. Okay. So now, for the next step, we're going to be working on the tail. Okay, we'll do that tail. That's the ear is still flopping. I think I'm going to put one more in here. Doesn't want to. Sorry. Just have to. I don't like it when the ears flop around on me. It needs to be fairly, and I mean you can continue to go back if you find you need more places tacked on or whatever you find it's a little floppy. Just go and do a slip stitch, and then it will help keep it a little bit more firm. Okay. So now we're going to be working on the tail back here. So you need your 24 longer pieces. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. One of those fell out. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, and 24. Okay, so get all 24 of the longer pieces. You made 48 altogether, so you should have a pile of 24 just for the tail. Okay, so make sure you have your loose jelly bands as well. So you're going to need a couple of them to attach these. So I'm going to do a couple with you, and then you can go ahead and finish it. This you can make look however you want, if you want it fuller or not. It's totally up to you. So I'm just going to put one of my strands on here, and I'm going to go right about here. So just find whatever point. I kind of go where it starts to go down, because I'm going to do 2 rows. So what I do is I take a band, pull it through, and tie a slip knot, and that holds it on. Go beside it. Oops, got to grab another one. So I'm going to go through a band beside it, pull it through the body, pull the tail bands onto my hook, and then pull it through in a slip knot. And then once I got those two there, because I do it double layered, so I'm going to go to the bands above them. Sorry about, I keep forgetting to put this on my hook. Tie little slip knots on the end of them too, keeps them together. So I'm just going to get those undone. Whoops. Okay, go in above it, take a loose band, pull it through, pull the tail onto it, and slip knot it. And I'll do one more here above this other one. Put another one on my hook, go in, pull it through the body, pull the tail band on, and slip knot it. Now what I do, I've done this in groups before, like on the Rainbow Dash, because it was all the separate colors. But so with this group of 4, what I do is like these loose bands, I just take them and I wrap them around the set of 4. And that way they for sure stay together and on. Just make sure you get all 4 of them. On and around. Like so. And that way they for sure stay on. So you just continue. Put aside. Pull it through to tie a slip knot on. In here, and again, you can use as many of these strands as you want. To make this as full or as not full. I tend not to make them too crazy full because my kids want to play with them right away once they see they're almost finished, so they get really excited. Whoops. Try not to catch the stuffing again. Slide it. Keep forgetting to put one on my hook first. Just gonna go around these 4. Fuzz stuck to my hand. Okay. Once you get a couple sets on, if you find there's spots that need to be filled, you can go ahead and fill them in. If you want to make them a little bit longer, you can use jelly bands trying to curl up a little bit so they're not as long as the other colors were. But just continue with all 24. I'm going to pause the video and continue off camera. You guys can keep working, make sure you try and keep it fairly even in the area. And then when you're done, come back to this point in the video. Okay, welcome back. So this is what my tail looks like now. I made it a little bit thicker underneath But again, and mine kind of curls up a little bit, so it isn't as long as I thought it would be. With Rainbow Dash, it was very long because it was all very straight. So if this later, it would be longer. But if you guys want it longer, you can make them a little bit longer. So now, quickly, I'm just gonna do her mouth here with you. So I'm gonna go in right about here and just do a slip stitch, and then just follow along to make a smiling mouth here. So just keep going along here and just keep checking it to make sure it's looking like a mouth, like the mouth you want. Hey, please don't scream. Sorry about that. Over this way. Start to kind of go up. I'll do one more. Leave. So I'll pull it through as a slip stitch. Like so. Put the C-clip on it. Okay. And it's a little lopsided. So, pull my C-clip back out. Sometimes I can just put these mouths together and on, not a problem, and other times it seems to not work out quite as easily. There we go. That looks better. I'll put that into the body. There we go. So now she has a mouth on her face. You can put the little nostril marks here. I don't, because I find it just doesn't look quite the same. So now we're going to do the top of her head here. So you're going to need your short strands as well as the rest of your long ones. So the short ones I keep concentrated right in between the ears here. They're kind of like her bangs, so I just line them up with the ears and fill this area in. And then the long ones start right about here and come down in a row. And it'll be the same as what we did with the tail, but we'll wrap the tying bands around the ends. So what you do is you just find a spot where you want to start. Go in, tie it on. Oops. And just keep watching them as you attach them. sorry if this gets a little close to the camera here. Kind of like that. I kind of just do the 3 across. You can do, again, this is kind of your own preference how you want to do it. If you want them thicker. So I'm just going to wrap these loose bands around these 3 up here. Okay. So I kind of pulled them together to make it neater, but their hair always tends to fall to one side. And that starts to give her bangs. So I'm gonna go off camera to finish off the rest of this short section. So just keep placing it on in through here. And then I'll come back and we'll work on the long section. Okay, so I got all my short bands on in between her ears, so it kind of looks like this. A little bit curly. She's got that curly up top here. I can't make it big like her hair is, but so I'm just going to push them all to the front. And then what I'm going to do, to start this off, I'll put my hook in through here where I ended off with the short ones. Put that on my hook. Pull the tying band through. So that's one. Go down, do it again. I'm gonna go about these 2 for now. And then I'm gonna put one in here. Pretty much I'm just filling in wherever I think the mane should be and wherever I think it should be full. So like that. Stick one more here. Every time I go 4, like with the top I did every 3 because there was 15 of them, so that was an even number, but with these ones I just go every 4 and then I wrap these bands around because I don't want to have pieces of hair falling off. As they work along, it gets pretty frustrating, especially jelly bands. The slip knots tend to slide out fairly easily. The opaque bands are not quite so slippery as these jelly bands are. So just find all your ends, tying bands there, and wrap them around. So it gives me kind of an idea of how it's looking. So I'm just going to continue to work down the back of the head here. And then we'll move on to the cutie mark and then we'll be done. So just continue attaching the long ones where you see fit. You can add more if you want. I generally try and get it to come down to about here or in the base of the neck here, just so that it's got the full mane down. So finish off those parts and then come meet me back here and we'll work on the cutie mark. Okay, so here I finished up with the mane and tail. Looks pretty good. So again, if you want more, if you want it a little bit longer, you can go ahead and alter that. So now the last thing we need to do is the cutie mark. So I'm going to put these pink bands away. And for the cutie mark, we're going to need blue and yellow. So I'm using the Rainbow Loom yellow, and again, I'm using the same glue that I used on the eyes. And for Pinkie Pie, her cutie mark is 3 balloons. So we're going to make that. So my example has moved on me, so but okay, so we'll get started here. So to start the cutie mark, which are balloons, I'm going to make a magic ring on my hook making 3 loops with my band, and I'm going to make 4 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, and here I'm going to place a C-clip to mark our rounds again. Here. Okay. Okay, now for the next round, you go in through that first stitch, and we're going to do an increase on each stitch.
Yes.
So 1, go back in, 2, next one, 1, go back in, 2, next one, 1, go back in, that's 2, and then again on the last one. So 1, go back in, that's 2. Okay, and now I'm just going to take the stitch marker off, and I'm going to go back in through the first stitch here and do a slip stitch to tie this all off. So that will be balloon number 1. I'm going to place it right about here, so I'm going to go into the bands that are underneath the edges and tack it on. There we go. So there. There. Right here. And I'm going to go in right beside where our slip stitch is and attach one here. Right there. Okay. Okay, and I'm going to start with the slip stitch tied off. So I'm going to do what we did before, where I go in through the body, come back up, pull the band through, grab the next one, just like when we attached the legs and everything. Go back under, pull this through, and I lost it. that through. Go in the body here. Pull it through. Like so. Go in through the body. Pull it through. Like so. Come back down here. Pull it through. Leave it on my hook. Go through the body, through the yellow, and tie off in a slip stitch. Get a stitch marker and slide that in. You can kind of adjust around so it doesn't quite look so starish. That one needs to push in there a little bit. So there's one balloon so far. Okay, so we're going to do that again, well, twice with the blue. So make a magic ring on your hook, creating 3 loops. Pull the band through, make a slip stitch, go back in through the 3. So it was 1, this is 2. 3. And 4, and to mark it with a C-clip, find your first loop, go through. We're going to do 2 stitches, so an increase on all the loops. So that's 1, 2, next stitch, 1, go back in, that's 2, next stitch, 1, go back in, that's 2, and last time, go back in, okay, take your stitch marker off, go back into the first band and tie a slip knot to tie it off. There, so there's the balloon. So pause the video now, go back and make a second one of these. Okay, so now you should have your 2 blue balloons made up. We're just going to stitch those on. Okay, so I'm going to place one right about there. I'm going to tack it on. These 2-tone bands are they're good because they're sticky. So they stick well, but they also sometimes make it difficult for working with the hook because they're sticky. But they create a nice little shimmer to them, which I really like. is still bugging me. It didn't pull under like it was supposed to. There, that's better. Okay, so starting again with the tying off band, pull it through the body. Get in position here. Grab the next stitch, pull it through, take it off, go to the next one. And the more with this, the more you keep them underneath the actual balloons, the better off it looks. Pull that through. Last one. Pull it through. Go back to where we started. Pull it through, go through some of the pink bands into the blue and create a slip stitch. Get a C-clip and just tuck it in underneath. Like so. Okay, and then our last one goes right about there. I'm going to tack that on as well. And if you find it curves a certain way, if you put it on opposite to the curve, it helps it to lay flat. Sometimes these want to start making like the cone shape that they do. But if you go opposite that, once you get it all tacked on, it should lay nice and flat. Okay. So again, I'm going to start with the tying off band here. Go in, pull it through, grab the next band. Oops. My supper is almost ready. Go in where the next stitch is, go under, grab the band, pull it through. Pull that through, grab the next one, pull it through that, and then here I go back in where we started, pull it through, make sure it stays on your hook, go through the body and the blue balloon and create a slip stitch. Get a C-clip and tuck it into the body. Get it in there good. Okay, so there we got the 3 balloons. So now what we do, because they got strings coming down, so on the yellow balloon, I'll start with the yellow one, I'm going to go in through this little band that's hanging down and out here a little bit and go into the pink right below it. Try not to catch the fuzz. Looks like I caught some. Yes, I did. Tie it into a slip stitch. Go into the next stitch and stitch it down like you normally would. Oh, go down. And these have pretty long strings on them. So here I'm going to kind of go off to the side because they aren't always straight down. They kind of have a little wiggle to them. I'll go over this way a little bit. And then back this way. And this again is your preference. You can add the string however you want. There. And I'm going to go one more right through here. On your last one, tie a slip stitch. It's too zigzaggy. Put a C-clip on it. Tuck it in to the body underneath there. Okay, on the next ones, it's yellow. On the blue balloon, she has yellow string coming off of it. So put the blue away. We're going to need 2 more C-clips. So again, go in here at the bottom of the balloon. Try and go in and catch a pink. I think I got one there. Yeah. And I don't want the blue to come through with me. Okay. Tie a slip stitch, and you can go whichever way you want on this again. To create a balloon string. Go to this one. And this one I'm going to tie a slip stitch on. Okay, put a C-clip in, tuck it down into the body, okay, and then we just have one more to do. Okay, so for this last one, go in at the bottom here, grab some of the pink bands. Try and keep this on the camera for you guys. Go in here. Sorry, my 2-year-old is trying to do communication through a door. Not working very well for her. Start to come down this way. And over this way. And this one I'm going to tie in a slip stitch. Okay. And add the C-clip to the end and tuck that down into the body. Make sure you get it down there good. Okay, and there you have your Pinkie Pie. It's all finished. So you have the face, the mouth, the ears, we got the mane, the tail, the cutie mark, and the large body. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed making her. If you guys want to see anything specific in some of my future tutorials, just make a comment on the video and I will look for ideas. I'm always looking for new ideas for designing. So yeah, hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and we'll see you when I make my next design.